We are good. So, last week I tried to start the mega campaign in Vicky 3. Unfortunately, I tried to get us to use the Babylon roleplay mod, which I helped made with some other people. I really like it. I think it added most of the features I wanted. Unfortunately, it led to just completely fucking up with the world economy. It was bad. It screwed everything up to an extreme unplayable degree. I tried to make it work for like an hour, then it just wasn't workable. So we're just doing a complete reset. We're starting over on Vicky 3 from here. What's up, Biotical? Hope you're doing well. So I'll go over everything again just briefly for folks if they missed it, and I also want to do a little reflection for myself. One of the coolest things about resetting, though, when using regular mods is we've been able to incorporate one of my favorite mods in Vicky 3 right now, which is the Better Politics mod. If you played Vicky 3 and you're looking at the screen, you can already tell something's different, and by something I mean literally everything. Better Politics is a mod that is supposed to give government, factions, parties, and political dynamics a lot more depth and makes it much more interesting. They're doing what Paradox is going to do in 3 years, essentially, right? It's a fantastic mod. I'll go over the factions very briefly for you guys, so we can kind of see who has the most in power in government. As with any faction, it's dependent on income, religion to a small degree, culture to a small degree, but primarily their job, their education level, and their profession. So currently in our country, the largest interest group is the professional interests. I'm going to read through all these. This will take a minute, but I want to give you guys a background on how we're going to be going forward. Otherwise, I think you might not understand things very well. Even I don't. I haven't played this mod a ton, but it's very good. Anyway, a non-ideological power block representing the interest of professionals and merchants, typically organized into professional associations, craft unions, traditional guilds, informed cartels. These groups fear encroachment from big business as well as the unwashed masses. Examples range from Dutch and Italian merchant guilds to the American Federation of Labor. The next largest interest group, actually, I'm not doing these in order. This is the largest one. We just did the second largest. The biggest is the village interests. A non-ideological power block representing the diverse interests of rural folk and local power brokers. While often incoherent, such village interests are generally aligned towards local autonomy and traditional values. The church interests, which I think that one's pretty obvious, isn't it? Bureaucratic interests. These corrupt officials are experts at manipulating political machines to stay in power despite intended political processes. Aristocratic interest, that's obvious. Any with color behind it is actually ideological. So we got reactionaries. It's a broad tent of those who want to go back to the good old days, who unlike niche interest groups elevate the nostalgia to a general politic. The specific of what they want depends on the good old days were like in each particular country. Subsections of this group include monarchic, absolutist, religious, moralists, and even wealthy peasants. They'd be supporters of the Torres dynasty, just for context in the roleplay. Conservatives refer to a broad set of people who want to preserve the status quo while situationally advancing or rolling back reforms in response to social crises. Since this is a non-unified ideology, concerns can be rife with internal conflict, for instance, between those of libertarian versus social paternalistic, etc. You've got the liberals. That one's pretty obvious. Classical liberals refer to the reform of the state to embrace Enlightenment ideals. They usually advocate for laissez-faire economics and civil rights within a strong nation-state separate from traditional power structures. Examples include British Whigs, American Republicans, and Russian cadets. And then the radical liberals. Radical liberals take the ideals of the moderate cousins to their logical end. They agitate for full democracy and social egalitarianism, resorting to revolutionary means where official politics are impossible. As such, they may overlap with socialists early on, though they would grow more mandate over time. Examples include French radicals, 48 reactionaries, American radical Republicans, and the Kuomintang. Military interests and the business interests as well. Why isn't this the Babylon mod? The Babylon mod doesn't work with the Save Translator. Moose, I had to do a reset on it. That's every mod Paradox mod. Paradox makes their own version of each of the big mods, like the CK3 Barbershop. True. They just will take them and use them. Absolutely. It sucks. What's a Dexter? Okay. So in terms of interest group, how has all the interests? The cloud is number 1 for professional interests, followed by village interests, followed by the church, followed by bureaucratic interests, followed by aristocratic interests, reactionaries, conservatives, and liberals. So the professional interests, which is basically a lot of the old school traders that we've worked with for a lot of history, and obviously bureaucrats in government, and then the commoners are very much the powerful ones right now. Conservatives love us. Aristocrats love us. Liberals don't like us. Radical liberals fucking hate us. The military likes us. And of course the trade unionists hate us, but no one cares about the trade unionists. They're a bunch of goddamn radicals who should be up in Bavaria anyway. Active interest group in governments, we have systematic oppression. Our government has consistently refused to accept demands from members of this ideology. As such, they are organizing opposition on a mass scale. That's from the radical liberals. Systematic opposition from the bureaucratic interests as well. We have a well-oiled machine and contribution from the aristocrats who support our government. And we have the bastion of tradition for the conservatives who really like what we're doing. So our current government is made up of the professional interests and the conservatives as well. Given Napoleon, our heir, who's a 13-year-old, he's not fully in charge, but he's learning, obviously. He is a conservative as well, a moderate conservative and a diplomat. That is the current state of our government. Our laws, we are a monarchy, we're an autocracy, national supremacy, freedom of conscience, so freedom of religion, appointed bureaucrats by the government, professional army, no home affairs, laissez-faire capitalism, mercantilism, per capita taxation, tenant farmers, colonial resettlement, local police force, private schools, charity hospitals. We do not allow any form of dissent, no workers' rights, child labor allowed, legal guardianships and no rights for women, no social security, closed borders, slavery banned, and normal naval doctrine. We have a tier 1 colonial institution, a tier 3 education institution. We're very well educated. Tier 1 for law enforcement, healthcare, and national defense. There we are. More, not Torres. So that's actually Napoleon Bonaparte's son. It should be Bonaparte. It should be Napoleon Bonaparte II. Napoleon II. He's the son of Napoleon I, who obviously ended our EU4 campaign by taking power after the revolution and was the one who managed to make our borders expand all the way into Italy, as well as a number of massive military victories, including over the Castallans at the end of EU4. So that is where we're at. We have colonies, yes. We have the Sardinian East India Company, which we founded at the end of EU4. This is basically the Dutch East India Company, but the Sardinian version. It is ruled over by Prince Perdi Luda. So he's one of like the aristocratic families from back home in Sardinia. It rules over part of modern day Myanmar, part of modern day northern Indonesia. And then we also do have several islands of the Spice Islands. And then we own almost every island in the Pacific. The Japanese have a few as well. What are the plans for this game? Continuing the grand campaign, Scythe. I don't make plans explicitly for the grand campaign. I go with the leaders and I go with the roleplay takes us. Some campaigns I set goals and plans, broadly speaking. With the grand campaign, I don't. I try and just react and roleplay out stuff a lot more. I try not to steamroll things in a certain direction, you know. Before I start setting up all of our trade routes and getting things under control, let's do our first research. We're going to start working on railways. Start working on an admiralty. By the way, I added a mod for Navy that gives us a naval professionalism system. So Navy quality is based on your professionalism, which is based on running drills. It's kind of like EU4 professionalism mechanics, basically, from timber to steel mod. So naval is going to be a lot more in-depth, given I can obviously use my own rework on it, since this is obviously not Babylon roleplay. So heads up on that. See if we have any other decisions. On the roleplay, just a reminder, the Suez was blown up by the Egyptians before they gave it to us in the peace deal. So we're going to have to rebuild the Suez. We did take it in EU4, but they blew it up before they handed it over. So in roleplay, we're going to have to rebuild it. Okay, it's good. High professionalism? Yeah, I agree. I didn't want to save it, though. I don't think that Sardinia was so conservative, but it was a revolutionary state. Ooh, not after Napoleon biatical. Now, Napoleon's reign was really backed. He declared himself emperor, right? He was backed by the conservative elements of the government, and he completely stopped working with a lot of the social reformers. Like, the moderate liberals like him and support him, but the radicals don't. Not the ones he came to power with. All right, I'm going to work on our trade routes for a moment and get our economy shipshape here. Get a steel mill. Don't think we produce coal, so we'll have to wait on that. I don't think we can produce ammunition yet. We can. Okay. We have a very modern military then. See if we can even afford everything we're doing here. Put a liquor tax. Increase taxes. We're not going to be able to afford what we're doing. Unrealized taxes. Bureaucracy. We're setting up the Admiralty. When we're done with that, we should be fine. How long will that take? And can I cancel it? I cannot. We'll set up our trade routes too. You got to do those always at the start of the game in Vicky 3. A lot of your competition is based on how early you set them up with countries. We can't import music. We'll have to make it ourselves. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, all the AIs are changing their stuff right now. Luxury clothing, I think we can produce. Do we have any textile mills? Only one. We'll have to import a lot of clothing then. Japanese. We need to try and rebuild relations with them, and trade is always a good way for that. Set up our diplomatic interest as well. We can have 3. Do 1 in China. Do 1 South America. And we'll do 1 in Eastern Europe. We're going to vote to get professionalism higher. No, I didn't. I thought about it. I don't want to set it higher. That one I don't want to do. I also don't think we can even save it in because I'd have to go fix the save file. And I tried to do that before and it's not happening. So if you want to wait an hour, I could go try and figure it out, but I don't advise that. And I'm not over exaggerating. It'd probably take me around that. Editing save files in Vicky 3 is pain. Sugar from Cuba. Tobacco's too expensive. Need more paper. We'll import it from the Chagatai. Clothing, we are going to import from the British. We have a really big deficit of that. We'll need to get that figured out. Hardwood from Castalla. Luxury furniture from the Dutch. Yeah, Russia got consumed by the Chagatai, so Ukraine still exists on the fringes. That was our old ally. I do want to try and support them and see if we can get them back to power. That's old Ruthenia from way back in the day, if y'all remember. One of our really early allies before they fell in the dark times. For exports, we have a lot of iron. We're going to need that. I want to work on a steel. That's our major deficits. I actually have a surplus on most of what we need to start. It's good self-sustaining in terms of paper. We can import it for now, though. Tools and steel. Let's work on those to start off with. We will build 2 steel plants in Sardinia, followed by 2 tool workshops in Sardinia. We'll build a munitions plant on Corsica. We'll build paper mills in Sicily. And then we're going to build up our naval yards in Sardinia as well. We'll build 4 of those. And then we will work on textiles. We'll build a giant textile mill in Tunisia. Now let's look at how we're doing. I think we actually have enough iron. Unpause it real quickly. No, we don't. No, we do not. We're We're gonna have to delete some of these construction buildings, I think, too. Is it bugging? Wait till the end of the day. Construction goods. What is killing us? Probably wood. Oh, yes. Jesus Christ. Import wood from Bavaria, Japan, the Dutch, Castalla, and Shagatai, everyone we can. We also, how long until we get that Admiralty set up? We can form Italy. Can I not cancel the fucking Admiralty? Huh. Okay. I'm just gonna assume this isn't bugged. Hopefully we'll figure it out. Alright, trade routes. Let's export fruit to the British. We're gonna need more wine. We'll export meat to the Dutch. We'll hold on to wheat. A surplus is good for quality of life. That's about it. We don't have a surplus of anything else. Okay, we do have a bit of coal as well. In that case, I'm going to go ahead and put iron on atmospheric engine pumps. We'll need to make more coal buildings later. All right, so this starts off. Can't believe one proud Bavarian is powerful in the mega campaign. Yeah, he is. They're revolutionary. They're radical too. Just a reminder, folks, they are very, 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 very radical. They have state atheism from EU4. They have collectivized agriculture. They are anti-imperialist. No, we don't have that anymore, do we? They have property rights for women. They have complete voting rights. So they're extremely radical. We would not be big fans. Diplomatically, we still have a defensive agreement with the Brazilians, but that's the only big agreement we have. Our military is very weak as well, by the way. 10 battalions, 18 flotillas. Which is not that bad. I mean, we have a larger navy than Castalla, for example. We need to make these. We don't produce them ourselves. The Koreans are improving their relations with us. Okay. I am really worried that this is a bugged decision I can't get rid of. Trying to increase our naval professionalism. It costs us even more money. We'll go ahead and pay for it, though. It's fine. I am running this naval mod I have not played a ton before, so we're... be warned. Maybe we need to go into war, maybe? Or is it a building, maybe? Like a Naval Admiralty building? No. Oh, god damn it. Unincorporated states. Okay. I have a mod on for this just in case. I was prepared. Should be fine now. This again. I may have to go do commands to do insta-build bureaucratic buildings again. God damn it. Oh, no, we're not gonna go play King of the Castle, cheese. What do you mean? The mega campaign. The beginning is gonna be rough. Like, if you want to come back later, you can, but no, we are certainly not gonna go play something else. We should have income tax. Income tax rates. That's weird. What's a Blackfire? What is going on with our budget right now? I'm a little concerned here. I might have to go take off timber and steel. I'd played it before and I didn't have any big issues. Yeah, true. You gotta remember, guys, like the save translations of Vicky 3 are the newest ones. The ones for the other games have been around for years. This one has been around very recently. It'll be the roughest. Vicky 3 will be a very rough patch. And I am sure as fuck not gonna go play Vicky 2 instead, so we'll just have to work through it. Yes, we are getting an admiralty. That won't be enough, though. We'd have to just only build bureaucratic buildings. All right, I'm going to do what I did before. We're going to do a quick restart. I'm going to do insta build. I'm going to turn on debug mode. We're going to build bureaucratic buildings so we can actually sustain the incorporated territories, which should be incorporated. I really don't know why the converter didn't give us incorporated territories, because I can't do it in the save with save edits, because Vicky 3 trying to save edit is just pure fucking cancer. Debug mode. And then we're going to restart, and then we should be good after that. Patience is virtue. Are they having the same issues? No, because they're not incorporating their territory like we are. I'm doing it the instantaneous incorporation because like we should have core states everywhere basically, but they don't do that, so they'll be fine. No, I'm not going to Vic 2. Fuck that. I did that last 2 grand campaigns and I don't want to do it again. Fucking painful, man. Late games Vic 2 is fucking horrible. Okay. I'm gonna run insta build. When we incorporate them, we get another 1,000 bureaucracy. We need to probably build, I'd say, another 25 bureaucratic buildings, and then we should be good. If I do it without unpausing, we're fine. What is it? Instant build. Fast build. There we go. Okay. So we'll need another 1,000 bureaucracy. Each of our government buildings gives us 50? That's not right. Oh, that's right, yeah. So we'll do 20. We'll do 25 just to be safe. They're all in Italy for some reason. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 10, 20, 22. And we need 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Okay. When fully housed, we'll be good on that, and I don't think there's any other major things I needed to do, right? No. Okay. Get the save. And the launch will have debug mode, and then we're good. University in every major city. True. I could implement those as well. Do we have any? We have one. All right, I'm going to fix that too. That's also breaks the roleplay. Not in every city, but I'll build a bunch more because we had a lot. Level 2 in Sardinia. That'll work. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to when I think of next mega campaign. By the time we get here, we'll have a much better Vic 3 save translator. To be fair, making save translators, I can't even imagine how difficult that would be to do, like for the modders working on it. So if this was like a 4-year-old thing, I'd be like, this is bullshit, but this is new, so all good. The Vic 3 to Hoi 4 one, from what I've heard, is actually not too bad, because Hoi 4 is a much simpler game. And then we go to Stellaris, it's easy, because we just literally have to start a new thing for that. I've found some really cool mods for when we go to Stellaris, actually. I'm really looking forward to that. I know for a lot of Paradox players that, like, it's a love or hate thing with Stellaris, but I think it'll be pretty fun for us. Especially some of the ones I found for politics. No, we'll have generic focus trees most likely, I believe. I don't know, I think you can get, like, if you have the same tags, you can get the focus trees. So if we go into Hoi 4 as Italy, I think we might get the Italian focus tree, but I don't remember. Not remember on that. My guess is, though, we're just going to have the generic focus tree, which is fine. The generic one they give is solid. If it's not solid enough, we can also do the Minor Nations Expanded focus tree mod, which gives everyone like a very solid big focus tree. So there's some options there. Okay. Insta build should be off. Let me just double check that. I don't think it translates over. Nope. Okay. 2 steel mills, 2 tool workshops, a paper mill in Sicily, 5 shipyards in Sardinia. Naval shipyards are different. We'll build 3 of those. And then we'll work on coal. Let's get that gold too. Alrighty. Sure, set up everything again this time. First tech, we're gonna do railways. Ammunition plant, I almost forgot. Built that on Corsica. Then we're gonna have to set up trade again. Luxury furniture we can make ourselves. Actually, how much do we have a surplus of regular furniture? We do, only a tiny bit. We'll switch over a little bit. Yes. Precision tools. Munitions we need to import for now. Do the modernizing of our military navy later when we get balanced here. We're going to need a lot of wood. We'll import that from Bavaria, the Japanese, Chagatai, the Dutch, and the Castallans. We got to watch out. Our trade routes are going to kill us on bureaucracy because we don't have free trade. Diplomatic interests, we only got 2 this time because we haven't upgraded our navy yet. We'll do Chagatai. No, they have a shared interest in Indonesia, so we're fine. We'll do 1 in Eastern Europe then, and we'll do 1 in South America. China from Japan. Porcelain, rather. Sugar from the Cubans. Be a little careful here. I will hold with that for now. Increase taxes. Consumption tax on liquor. Decrease government wages. And then we need to start working on really would. If we get the imports on it, we're fine. We're careful here. We can balance out. Ignore those for now. The AI is switching up everything. Yeah, so our deficit is entirely due right now to two things. It's the deficit of paper, which actually, let me go do that. Import right now. And then it's the deficit of wood, which we're using to build. Paper from the Shagatai. We'll be all right. We have everything to upgrade trade routes. We have convoys. Bureaucracy maintains at the current levels. We'll get rid of the wood route then from the Shagatai. It's going to upgrade. It'll just take fucking forever. So we'll be running a big deficit for a while. It will slowly go down as we get more of the goods we need. Given that we have the bureaucracy, I also have to do the other thing right now. Oh, this is the painful one. Get ready for this. Yeah. That'll compensate when we actually put people in bureaucratic buildings, which we'll need a lot more paper for. Okay. The first time I navally invaded the UK. Are you playing Hoi 4? Oh yeah. It's all about just outproducing their air and beating them that way. Or letting their navy be a monkey and getting around it when they're not looking. That music back on too. Okay. Dutch trade route is gone. Did they embargo us? They probably did. They really hate us still from EU4. Yep, they embargoed and rivaled us. We're going to do some stuff with our authority here too. We have quite a lot of it. Let's establish colonies in the Azores, in Tripoli, in the Western Sahara. We're going to leave Australia alone. That's not our purview. Okay. Everything else is coming along. I put down government wages even more for now. Let's start incorporating things or importing stuff from the company too. What exactly are they producing? They're in our market, so I don't think we need to, right? Yeah, they're in our market, so we're fine. Products better get Vicky 3 to a better state, like CK3 post tours and tournaments. I know Great Eminence is on hold, but Gilded Dynasty is full stream ahead. I've never heard of Gilded Dynasty. Let me look that one up. Dynasty. Game. Golden Dynasty. Doesn't look right. You have a link to that second one you mentioned? Grey Eminence I'm not super hyped for. I don't like a lot of the features I've seen from them, but I agree. They need to really work on Vicky 3. The launch was so shit. I've ranted endlessly about that. I like the core features in Vic 3, but it needs a lot of work. And it's looking dangerously like they're going to just lock it behind DLCs right now, which is probably going to be a death sentence for Vicky 3 if they do that. Let's rival the Dutch too. With our authority and influence, we're going to start improving relations with the Bavarians. We're going to improve relations with Scandinavia. No, we can't. With the Ukrainians, with the Shagatai, with the Japanese, with the Indians. No, they're hostile. Okay. With the Mexican government, with the US, And with the British. Death sentence would be if they lock all the feature updates they need to do to make the game playable behind DLC, which is what it's looking like. AKA, you know, the mechanics that are really needed in the core game, they're going to put in as DLC features, and people will just get burnt out and just get pissed off. So I think they are dangerously close to doing that. And I don't think that game would survive if they do that, frankly, because people are so angry. They could get away with it in the past because people would accept it, but Vicky 3's launch was so shit that I think we're gonna be pissed. Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it'd survive that. All right, let's get back into the roleplay of the game. So right now, Sardinia is in a very unstable period. Obviously, after the death of Napoleon, when his forces were surrounded and he was executed in Egypt. Obviously, our government did get a good peace treaty with the Egyptians after the war, but with the blowing of the Suez, a lot of the meaning in that victory is gone. That being said, we still have taken the majority of central Italy, besides the papal regions, Lombardy and Ferrara. So as we wait for the young king to come of age, we are really in an unstable period where our economy, much like much of Europe, is trying to aggressively industrialize, but we're having some troubles with that. So the way I'm going to do this for House Torres is the reactionaries are going to be Torres supporters. So if the reactionaries ever get into government, House Torres is going to be put back on the throne, or we're going to fight a civil war. So a note on that as well. So for young Napoleon, he's old enough to understand his situation. For him, it's all about trying to centralize control and rule and trying to get support for his actions. So if he's unable to do that, we're going to be in very bad shape and may potentially have to work around it. Your industry is probably the strongest in the world. Yes, it's very high up there. We have a GDP way above where it should be. So, yeah. It's very solid. A new astronomer takes the stage. In the past, Paolo Landi has often expressed a great interest in astronomy and observes the starry sky in his free time. Up until the present day, a number of amateur astronomers have rendered outstanding service in advanced astronomy as a science. The countless amount of objects has repeatedly meant that scientific dilettantes have also been able to help learned experts with their records. Amateur astronomy was a big thing back in the day. It still is, actually, but especially back then. One of our admirals is an amateur astronomer. Sure. By all means. Technology spread, he doesn't get any of them. He's just more popular. A strange superstition. Reports have come in of a strange illness harrying the members of the same family in Sicily. Locals have started exhuming the bodies of the dead in an effort to stop the so-called curse. We need to try to get the church back a little bit more behind us. We don't work with them, and we're not going to give them power, but getting them a less hostile right now for centralizing control and power would be a very good idea. So we'll do that. Damn, that music cannot pick a volume. Oh, I know. Until we get bureaucracy fully done and until we level up our trade routes for wood, we're going to be fucked here. Speaking of which, yeah. Bavarian wood will save our economy. Or it will break our economy. Either one. Luxury clothing, we're going to import that from the Japanese. Men of war. Not worth it. Need more wood imports we can do. We'll import it from America as well. Lithuania. All the wood we can get. Wood is make or break for us. Oh man, we have such a big wood crisis. I really don't want to produce it ourselves. I want to import it from other economies. We're trying to industrialize, not stay back in the old era. The members of our industrial advisors would be very much strongly against that. How long on our steel mills? 4 weeks, and then we can upgrade our steel production, or rather our tool production. Lithuania has embargoed us as soon as we tried to import wood from them. One of our old enemies, and given that we've worked with Ukraine in the past, that's not surprising, I suppose. But damn. Let's rival them back. With authority, let's work a bit on that. Let's put a consumption tax on the services. And then we're going to do decrees. Efficient administration in Sardinia. Encourage construction. Efficient administration in Tunisia. Urban services in Sardinia. Manufacturing industry in Sardinia. And we're going to be good. Australia? Yes, they did. The Chagatai are colonizing Australia. It's a colonial Ming. It has been all game. They are absolutely terrifying. They're like the Ming on steroids, except that they're not a degenerate or an in decline emperor. This is a high imamate ruled over by a Muslim king. So they're very different. Much more stronger than the Ming were historically. It's looking a little bit better. We got to get that bureaucracy down. How are we looking on... government administration? We're still trying to hire more people. Paper prices have gone down. That's big. Oh yeah, this deficit isn't sustainable. We're way too deeply in debt right now. We completed the one steel mill, which is what I wanted. Steel tools. Private construction will continue at least. And this pause... oh, it's actually not going to increase our investment pool. That's a shame. Yeah, 1.8 million. We took on a lot of debt there. We needed to get out of the woodwork on our bureaucracy. Now we just need to hire more bureaucrats. Until we do that, our economy is basically in standstill. Yeah. Qualifications. We could reduce our bureaucracy also by lowering our education, but that's very counterintuitive to what we're trying to do, so I'm not going to do that. Oh, God damn it. We need to keep creating demand for it. Here's what we're going to do. We have to make demand for wood or we're going to not be able to sustain construction when we start again. That's manageable. Oh, it is painful to have this little construction, but we got to keep doing this. We are a very unpopular monarch at the moment. That's manageable. We get another steel mill. We'll have enough to do all the tooling we want with steel. Paper, I think we're fine on now, right? Early victory. It's trying to sustain your economy. Yeah, we're fine. Shipyards, do we need those? I think we need military. Yeah, we need men at war, which we need explicitly, I think. Naval yards 4, right? Yep. Regular shipyards we're going to remove. We need 40. How much does each one produce? We only need 2. They'll shore up our defense costs and make our navy actually have the ships it needs, which we need obviously for 101 reasons. We're working on coal. We'll turn all of our mining up into atmospheric engines. We'll build the munition plant so we're not in the deficit. And we should be all right. We'll need another shipyard too. How much did these each do? We'll need 2 more of those as well. When we're done with that, I want us to transition slowly to iron frame buildings. So we're going to build up an iron sector, which will be easier if we have the coal production, which we're building up. I'd much rather import iron, but I don't think we can. Standard living will sustain where it is, so we're good in that. Regard. Then we just need bureaucracy. We have a lot of exports we could be making a lot of money on right now. Unfortunately, with our bureaucracy levels, we're just not able to. I wonder if it's almost worth the compensation and cost difference. Let's take a look at that. No, the taxes aren't enough on it. Our tariffs aren't high. Okay. Let's make more high quality furniture. We'll shift the rest of these over to precision tools. If it gives us a surplus, yes it does. We can stop our... Did we not do imports on luxury furniture? No, we didn't, so we'll export that. That's very valuable and one of the great early exports you can do. The Americans and to the Shagatai to make them dependent on us for trade on it. We'll pull it back from the grave. I know what I'm doing, kind of. It's all part of the plan. Have faith. The economic minister for the young Napoleon is more than capable at the moment. We'll get into roleplay once I'm not trying to save the economy too, folks. It'll be a minute here. You can watch me try and desperately save our collapsing economy for now. Breakdown discipline of the Navy. Discipline of the Sardinian Navy has reached a breaking point. Fuck. We have mutineers right now. We're going to do a crackdown, which will really screw up our Navy for 5 years. It's fine. Are we going to colonize Australia? No, because we'd have to contend the Shagatai and India, and that would get us in a war with them, which we cannot sustain. So, absolutely not. Kyushu will need to build a port on, but that's not our biggest priority. We didn't even incorporate everything. We still have to incorporate Tripoli and stuff. That's more bureaucracy. We'll wait on that, though. Jesus. Bureaucratic crisis in our government. I know it wouldn't make sense in the roleplay, right? Basically, after the civil wars, when all the old bureaucrats from the old regime, basically under the Torres family, probably fled or died. A lot of them were killed in the rebellions and the civil wars. Those who didn't probably fled with Saemundr to Castalla. So we don't have many bureaucrats. We're trying to train a whole new generation to run like basically a giant kingdom / empire. So in the roleplay, it does make sense. Yes, I did fix Core's mage. The cost is just brutal right now, but yes, I did. Short version, yes. Long version, pain. Do that. It's our military good cost. That's a big issue right now. Now, that minute war is killing us. Clippers is also killing us. That's actually a bigger deal right now, I think. Yeah, we need number 86. I'm going to go ahead and hop up shipyards. We'll build those. We'll build one naval yard. We'll build 2 shipyards, another naval yard. We'll have all of our ships dealt with coal to industrialize munitions, and we'll be good. Boy. We have the iron. I'm going to slowly start transitioning to iron frame buildings as well. It's 4 at once. Let's just do 2 at once. See if we can sustain that. Yep, we have the iron. We have switched all of our tool production to iron. Yes, we have. Or steel. Very efficient on producing those. Iron, we have a small deficit. We can deal with that. Making campaigns will be way easier in a year or two when EU5 comes out with pops and characters. True. I'm really looking forward to EU5 actually. EU4 is my first love for Paradox. That's not true. It was a combination of that and CK2. CK2 I really loved, and then EU4 I got obsessed with. That's more accurate. Okay, we have a lot of starving people right now. Our interest is high. Yeah, yep. CK2 I played a lot casually in like high school and stuff. What did we just build? Our income went way the fuck up. What happened? For sure. EU4, you have more hours in. I have a lot of hours in EU4. It was my biggest until I started streaming Hoi a lot, and now Hoi is, I think, my most for hours. We're getting there, folks. Engine pumps for higher minting. The gold mines really increased our income too in Sardinia. We have excess tools, so we can put them on something useful here. None of our buildings use tools yet. Harvesting tools. Butchering tools, but we already have so much meat, we don't really need more. Been on tool workshops for a while. I've never really gone into EU4. I played CK2 a lot. Yeah, CK2 is so easy to get into. The RPG combined with the strategy is just so fun. The adventures you could have in that game. It's the same as CK3. It's so fun. What do you think about Imperator Rome? An imperfect mess that had a great idea, much like Vic 3, and was never completed like Vic 2, sadly. Any chance of using that over a Fallen Eagle? Not a chance. I refuse to support Imperator after what they did, so you won't probably ever see me stream it. Next single player mega campaign, we're going to start in Fallen Eagle mod in CK3, and we'll go from there. I will be probably the same way with Vic 3. If they abandon it, there's a good chance I'll stop streaming it just to not give it any sort of support. Not that it matters very much, but better than just accepting that shit. I'm just stressfully micromanaging the economy and staring, so that's going to be what we're doing here for a minute. Okay. Shipyards will be big. We're making a surplus again. I want to pay off more of this debt. And again, it might be worth just out sustaining the debt with expansion. I did like CK2, but they pushed away from stuff I really liked in CK3. How so? A lot of people feel that way. I initially had a very bad reaction on launch to CK3, and I really 180'd on that. How would the Fallen Eagle mod work for it, though? Won't it just become so laggy to get close to the U4 start date? No, not with my computer. I got a good GPU and a good CPU. We'll be fine. Worst case scenario, I can edit the save file to kill a bunch of population off and we'll be fine. Now the real question, what do you think of City Skylines? Are you going to do that in the mega campaign? The modern day portion is just me managing Sassari in 2005 and working on municipal tax laws. That sounds fun. You want deeper mechanics? They definitely did dumb it down to reach a larger audience, which I actually do support. But I know what you mean. I wish they had more complex mechanics. It's just they didn't show it to people. Vic 3 is a good example of that. Vic 3 has all the mechanics of Vic 2. Don't let any Vic 2 stand tell you otherwise. They're all in the game. It's just it's in the code and a lot of it you don't see. It's behind the scenes. I wish they'd done that with CK3, where they added all the mechanics from CK2, but a lot of it they just hide so it's not overwhelming for new players. That would have been, I think, a lot more interesting. Got a lot of radicals and almost no loyalists. Import hardwood from the US. Import coal from the Bavarians. We're good on everything else. We have so much we could be exporting, but we need to get our bureaucracy in hand. We can't do that till we get qualifications. That is exasperating. Yeah, we could be making a lot of money off this stuff here. That being said, in terms of deficits, we are stabilizing right now. Once we get the shipyards built, we are actually going to be looking pretty good. And our economy is finally growing a little bit. Napoleon, has he come of age? He should be, I think, 15 now. He's still 14. We're going to say he's coordinated and comes of age at 16, by the way. That's when we're going to crown him. And then he will be running things RP-wise. Right now, it's the combination of the government bureaucrats and the conservatives running the government. Sims Medieval was a lot of fun. I liked it. I played that a lot back in the day. I got into Sims originally because my babysitter when I was a kid, I had a couple babysitters when I was younger. And the weird thing is, of all the babysitters I had as a kid, they all liked The Sims. Every single one of them, because they were like teenage girls in the 2000s, you know, which was very popular at the time. And they'd all like let me play it, like when I got babysat. So I always would play The Sims, like Sims 2 and then Sims 3. No, Sims 2, I think, back in the day, because it was a long time ago. I really got into The Sims from that. Those are fun games. Fucking stupid, but fun. Yeah, Sims is a lot of fun. You guys see that Paradox is making a knockoff of The Sims? I forget the name of it. They're trying to get that DLC model that The Sims runs with. CK3 is better Sims. I agree with you. Population is still growing. Literacy is growing. Standard of living is declining. That's fine. Oh boy, we're threading the eye of the needle here, folks. We gotta lower an institution. We'd have to do education. This is painful, but we gotta do it. We're gonna be putting cuts in place for government spending on education across the board to private schools. We gotta get that bureaucracy up. It's the only way we can do it right now. Oh. Those hard calls. Those painful calls you make. Conservatives would be fine with it anyway, so it checks out. Why are we not making any money on these? Because we need to be exporting liquor. Let's for now stop producing pot stills. Groceries are that cheap? How the fuck are groceries cheap? Because our people are so poor they can't buy groceries, they have to buy grain. Whew. Let's sustain the market by exporting them to France for now then. That's rough. Our people can't afford groceries. Another rough era for Sardinia. We've been here before, we'll be here again. Sailors have been complaining about the harsh punishments they receive in the Corsican Sardinian Navy. Beatings will continue until morale improves. Top tier Warhammer quote. Paper. The amount of paper we use. We're gonna have to build paper plants after this. Coal mines? Hey, to resub Chris, what's up? Cuba is still very much alive, my friends. Very much alive. They became a military junta, unfortunately, but they are still around and they're still quite strong in the Mediterranean. They were dominant in EU4. Thank you for the 13 months, by the way, man. Appreciate that. Yeah. The Say Translator was rough on most countries, but they're still around. Yep. Monarchist America is still around. When Jackson dies, the actual, like, king will take power. We'll just go in the RP that Jackson made himself a strong man, but Pepin de Fickelmont is the royal family line from EU4. It's a reminder. Mexico's the US of this timeline. They're very liberal. Yeah, it's literally a switch, isn't it? It's like when Mexico had the monarchy and when the US was democratic. It's a complete switch on that. The US is monarchy and Mexico is hyper-democratic. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, there's a monarchy. The US was formed, it was a French colony in EU4. They got independence when France got partitioned by Bavaria in EU4, and they became a monarchy under the Ficomont royal family. They're also a pseudo-theocracy. They were in EU4 as well. They are a state religion, and they're very religious, so. There's an HBO series that could be made about that US timeline. Shipyards, there we go. I'm gonna finish this one later. Let's get those coal mines and the munition plant done, then we need to do paper. Oof. Market access in Sardinia. We'll need to get a port there before anything else now too. Coal mine, port, coal mine, munition plants, paper mills, and then we'll need a sulfur plant after probably. Yeah, oh, there we go. Look at that money we're getting now. We actually have ships. We have not quite enough, but we'll get there. Are they gonna have Manifest Destiny things? Yes, they still have the decisions for it, Panda. Absolutely. Castalla in Louisiana is independent as well, too. It's an independent state. Democratic Republic in the middle of the US. And then it's Indian France, Indian California. Are they still a puppet? Yeah, they're a vassal of Southern India, the Maharashtra. And then it's Colombian Oregon up in the north. Democratic Republic up there as well. Canada still around. They're independent. Quebec, which is a puppet of Scandinavia. Britain's Mexico holdings. Gran Colombia is independent now too, I think. No, they're still a dominion of Castalla. Castalla still owns Gran Colombia. And they actually still do own Louisiana as well, so they're not completely destroyed yet. Egyptian Argentina. British Peru. Castilla and La Plata. And then independent Democratic Republic Brazil. Just a reminder, this is also the Brazil that won the War of Independence against Byzantium and briefly owned Kavala. Brazil took land in Greece in the peace treaty in EU4 before losing it later. So they're the true heir of Rome at this point. I did a recap of the map, but those are some big things, I guess. Just for folks who missed my one I did, I think, last week. I'll have them in the YouTube video too. When I go into Vic 3 on this the YouTube video I'm making for it, I'm planning like a whole really in-depth like recap of the campaign and then the current geography. The first like 5-10 minutes of that video is just going to be on recapping basically, because I know there's a lot of stuff that's happened. So our naval yards need trains. Oh, they do, because screw frigates, I think. Yep, engines. Less efficient, but it will still work. Can we import them from the British or something? No, no one wants to export them. Everyone's trying to build their railways right now in Europe. It's a race. When is Byzantium going to fall? You know, I've been thinking they were going to fall all game and every time they come back. It's kind of crazy. That'd be crazy. So remember in EU4, they actually went revolutionary briefly, which is how they got partitioned by Egypt and the Brazilians and Castalla. We also took Crete during that. They were, before that, they were very strong. They were huge. And during their revolutionary period, they lost everything. Ironically, the other revolutionary government in Europe, Bavaria, attacked them. And they've been really cut down to size. They're still very strong though. Absolute empire. And I think they're still, yeah, they're very hostile to us as well. They're working with Mordavinia in Eastern Europe. We still have more influence. Let's work on improving relations with the French and with the Egyptians. Georgia does exist. They are a puppet of Iran, I believe. No, they're not anymore. No, they've got an alliance with Egypt. That's what it was. They were, I think, a puppet of Iran, the Gizerids, for a while, but they're not anymore. Sardinia is very strong in this game too. They've got colonies. This is the original Mongols, by the way. The one that came up in CK3 in like 1250. This state has been around for 600 years, and they conquered all of Europe, all of the Ming, all of Iran, and they destroyed the Byzantine Empire in CK3 before the Byzantines reformed in EU4. This is the OG state, same heirs, same dynasty. The Borgians still rule there. The Chagatai are the other one. They're way stronger. A seasonal meteor shower allows our astronomers to see a particularly large number of astronomical objects this year. We've got a couple mods on that do some cool stuff with astronomy and a few other things just for flavor. Just heads up on that. Philosophy department, munitions industry, atmospheric engines, and urbanize. We are about to have the coal. Let's go ahead and turn everything onto atmospheric engines as well for iron and for sulfur. We'll increase that demand so we get workers in there immediately. Just a heads up, folks. In Vicky 3, I'm going to try not to just rant about like a tutorials about this game, but a lot of mistake I used to make in the early day, and I'm sure other people do, is when you build a building for something you need to upgrade a PM, what I would do is I would not assign demand to it. So like, for example, we're about to complete, let's say, a coal mine, and we want to put coal mines into iron mines, but we've still got picks and shovels. If you leave it on that and you don't put it on atmospheric engine pumps right before you complete it, your workers will have no demand for it. So there's no demand for coal, and it will make your coal mines unprofitable if you switch, and you won't have anyone switching over to it. So always change your PMs right before or as soon as you get the materials you need for upgrading. Just a heads up. We're still in an economic depression in our P by article. Post-Napoleonic Sardinia is just crippled with economic decline after the wars that we couldn't sustain economically, basically. The roleplay we're going to go for with our current economic decline is Napoleon I, although being a great man in securing Italy for us, he basically bankrupted the government fighting wars. And after his death, like if he'd survived the war of Egypt, he would have probably been able to use his armies to find some way to get money or to do reforms. But given he died in that battle in Egypt, and his son is only 14, our government has a ton of economic decline and loans that they can't pay off, which is why we're just in free fall right now, basically. So Napoleon may have conquered us, Italy, but he did give us an economic depression, essentially, is what is happening here, I'd say. GDP growth of the Asian power. Not very high, slow, but it's happening. They're still on serfdom, I believe. Tenant farmers. No, they're not on serfdom, but they are tenant farmers and they're traditionalists. So their economy will grow very slowly. Ooh, our current government is not accepted. We're going to go and reform the government and reform a new coalition with the aristocratic interests of the government. They also represent more of the old school conservatives that Napoleon had supporters for, the first, not the second. He is going to be crowned in less than a year's time as well. Ammunition. Construction efficiency reduction in Constantine. Okay. That's a good one, Lord Dante. If there's a mod, could someone do a poll and see which ruler you think was the greatest for Sardinia? Actually, I'll do it. We'll do 3. Lissandro, Solomon, or Napoleon the First? That's a good poll, actually. I'm curious. I won't vote because I'm very opinionated on that. Sandro. I just canceled my own poll. Bear with me. Beautiful. There we go. Aurelian is superior from way back in the day. Solomon, don't split the baby in half, King. We were in here. You remember the original Solomon? Did any of y'all watch the YouTube videos of the streams back in the day when we had the original Solomon the First? Like our great philosopher king with all the amazing traits who was intelligent, or was he a genius? I forget. And then he went absolutely batshit crazy, lost his mind, went crazy and died. Dude, original Solomon was just a tragedy. Holy shit, man. I thought he was gonna change the game for our family. Nope. Same as always. Same as always. Coal mines are almost done. Munition plants, paper mills, sulfur, naval yards. We're gonna keep putting at the bottom. How long until we lose that education institution? 11 days. This will be huge. This will really change up our economy here. We're gonna go into a big surplus in a moment. The cost being much less education, but that's fine. Yeah, true. Drunkenness, not cancer. That's a bit better. Yeah, in-game characters, Rinjay. Not historical rulers. That'd be a much longer list and much longer discussion. All right, that's freed up a bunch of bureaucracy there for us. Not as much as I expected, though. Let's get rid of some of our generals, too. We're gonna start firing some of these guys. I added a mod that gives us a bunch of new leader traits as well. A lot of cruel. We'll get rid of Luigi Molinelli. That'll piss off the aristocrats. Fire Luigi Ferra. Which will piss off the professional interests. We will fire... Pier Francesco Fortegueri. We'll fire. That'll piss off the village interests. We'll fire Fabio Intonti. And we'll keep 2. Bernardo Lunardi and Giuseppe Balzan we'll keep for 2 generals. For our admirals, we only need 1. We'll fire Paolo Landi, and we'll keep Gielio Settimo. That'll free up more bureaucratic power as well. More coal. We should have just about everything we need with that. Okay, we're kind of stabilized. We need to start exporting more. Let's look at our trade routes. See if there's anything not profitable we can just kill. Sugar. Solomon the Great. What's the... Lysander the Dread for Napoleon I 1. Wow, yeah, Solomon. He was the game changer for our history, though, wasn't he? He changed everything. No. Will this upgrade? Will remain at current levels. I'm gonna follow red. They just don't have any more, I bet. We need to be more efficient with these routes. We can only have a few here. Munitions we're gonna build ourselves. Music we'll have to build ourselves. Luxury clothing we'll need to import. Tobacco we can actually make ourselves, and our colony should be making it at some point. Can we get more wood from anyone? Not really profitable. Coal we are making ourselves. Clothing. Paper. The Japanese. Now let's do some exports here. We don't need that sugar import either, do we? No, we canceled it already. Because we're not making liquor anymore. Wine, we're going to export to the Bavarians. Bunch of champagne socialists up there in Bavaria. Export luxury furniture. Egypt, Japan. As well, that'll be one of our big exports going forward. Furniture to the Egyptians. Fish to the Cubans to reduce our trade deficit with them. And fruits we cannot export. Okay, that's better. No, you can't name leaders, unfortunately. I wonder if someone will ever make a mod for that or Vic will add it. I hope so. It's a lot more cool when you can name things. We will start to work on upgrading our naval professionalism and rebuilding our navy, but we gotta deal with the economy first. Clearly, our 2 million in debt right now. Brutal. We're rebuilding the investment pool though. It's already been 2 years as well. Oh, early Vic 3 for us is going to be recovery. How are we looking on iron? Can we get more from our import routes? Probably not. Let's look. Cubans. And I'm going to go ahead and upgrade another one of our construction sectors to iron frame buildings. We'll do a couple actually. Technically, it reduces the cost of wood, so it might actually compensate a little bit here. Balance. And from the Japanese as well. We need iron anywhere we can get it. Frank Sabotka? United Fruit Company. Oh yeah, they are terrifying. Solomon did, yeah. Solomon's legacy was a civil war. He caused that with his inheritance giving. Yes, it's Imperator music. Imperator music's fantastic. So we're playing some of that right now before we go over to Victory music or something else. Very good for the tone and the vibe. All right, is he crowned yet? He is. Okay, so Napoleon I is 16. He has been crowned. Oh, and he is corrupt. He is a corrupt diplomat and a conservative, a moderate. Yo, you gotta be kidding me. Tax waste and pisses off all interest groups, reducing popularity. He's not popular. Young Napoleon is a shadow of his father. My God. We may not have him for very long. The military is happy, conservatives are happy, professional interests are angry, and liberals are getting a bit unhappy now too. Oh man. Yeah, he is basically Napoleon III. Hold on, Napoleon III gets a bit of a bad name. Come on, I'm scared. He wasn't that bad. He embraced free trade before anyone else did. You gotta give him that. He beat the Brits to it. Kind of. For a moment. Before he was ousted. Let's export meat as well. To the Americans. They don't have Chicago yet, so that checks out. Luxury furniture routes should go up here. Coal imports from Bavaria, not valuable. That sustains. I want to try to do a coup on drunk in real life. All right. So part of the reason we have so much debt and are making money is that our current king is just siphoning funds to pay for his various habits and luxurious lifestyle. Bureaucratic interests, professional interests, and radical liberals are all really causing us problems. A lot of bureaucratic reduction. That's where a lot of our bureaucratic problems are coming from. I just realized that. It's also coming from the percentage reductions we're getting due to systemic opposition from the bureaucrats, professional interests, and radical liberals. Interesting. We gotta try and get the bureaucrats and professional interests back on our side here. Let's fund the government a bit more. That'll help. Let's fully fund it. It'll be expensive, but it will help in the long term. We'll start paying them properly again. Professional interests are still angry. Yeah, we retired their commander. That will go away. contested government. We can't form a better one, I don't think, at this point, can we? Nope. Yeah. Oh. Bureaucracy compensated a lot there, though. That's big. Military is fully supporting us because we're really giving them extra stuff here. Munition plants, paper mills, sulfur mine, naval yards. Then we're going to start to properly industrialize next. Blitzomania in Sardinia. A great composer stopped in our country on his current tour and decided to stay for a while. Franz Liszt was an Austrian-Hungarian composer, pianist, conductor, theater director, and music teacher. Liszt was one of the most prominent and influential piano virtuosos, and with an oeuvre of over 1,300 works and arrangements, one of the most productive composers of the 19th century. Although a large part of his oeuvre can be assigned to piano literature, Liszt also gave a clear impetus in orchestra music with the development of the symphonic poem. His concept of a program music and the use of new harmonic and formal means made him, along with Richard Wagner, the best-known protagonist of the New German School. Liszt began an extensive tour in Europe in 1839, which he continued for the next 8 years. This period was Liszt's most brilliant as a concert pianist, and he received many honors and much adulation for his tours. Beautiful. So Liszt is currently in our capital, performing. Music tradition. That's cool. Where's that at? Musical tradition. There must be a stat for it somewhere. A couple of these mods I still don't know too well. Musical tradition. It must be in our journal. Huh. Well, maybe it's just something that hasn't been added yet. We are almost good on that. Cash reserves greater than 25% occupancy over 75. What are we missing? Probably cash reserves. No, we have all that. Sulfur? Maybe it's because of the sulfur mine that we're building. That we haven't built yet. That's the only thing that doesn't... Are we using coal and anything else? Atmospheric pump engines. Gold mines, which we're good on. Sulfur mines, which hasn't been built. Iron mines, coal mines. I'm gonna try something out of curiosity. Nope. Oh, that was it. That's interesting. The event doesn't work if it's a building that you're still being built on too. That's wild. Okay, we got atmospheric engine. That's strange. We can't even do sulfite piping yet, so we don't actually need that sulfur mine anyway. You notice that Sardinia is West Italian, but Cuba is Sardinian. That's some bullshit. Yeah, true. Funny. I suppose they have a lot more of an independent culture, whereas we've incorporated a lot with the Italian cultures as well, forming more of like a cosmopolitan one. I think there's a lot of truth in that. Are our coal mines fully manned? Yep. Do we have enough coal? Yes. Do we have to make more iron? We're gonna have to actually make more iron. Bear with me. Well, there it is. Sulfur mine production, natural harbors, Atlas Mountains, which is really bad. for getting anything out of there until we have railroads. We'll build them in Campania. We'll build up 5 there. Plenty of people who can work the mines. You redeemed the pull. Apologies, Scythe. I'm not paying attention. What was the pull for? Over the Napoleon and restore Torres line. I'll do that, but I won't necessarily actually do it in game. I know a lot of folks want Torres back, and I do too, but I don't want to force it. I want it to happen naturally in the roleplay. But I will do the pull for it. Who would that be? It'd either be Saemundr, who's in Castalla, or it would be Castoro, who's in Japan right now. So yeah, I'll throw the pull. No worries. Also, if there's any mods still here, if there's ever a pull request and they use points for it, feel free to just put that up. Unless it's just like something crazy. I can never tell when there are mods and when there aren't mods. I could probably go check, but if I had a third monitor, I could have the mod screen up. That'd probably be smart. One day. One day. Okay. So currently, this is just an era of real, like, just decline. And overall, it's a word. I mean, like, the economic industrial interests in our country are doing quite well in expanding industrialization, but the government is just stagnating under our corrupt monarch. The military is stagnating under the post-Napoleon era where they're just not getting funding anymore. The Navy is a shadow of its former self. Napoleon is running our country into the ground, to make this very clear, by the way. Just a heads up. Like, this guy is young, inexperienced, unpopular, and corrupt. He is screwing up everything we've done. After some time of staying, a great composer decided to leave. Liszt has departed for a never capital. Munition plant will be big. I think we get everything we'll need off of that now. Yeah, we'll get 9. Reduces the cost on our military. Now we just have input goods on engines, which we can't get until we research railways, which we actually almost have. The railway effort can begin very shortly. Now we need explosives and lead. Chemical plant. We'll build this in Sicily as well. And then lead. We'll build that. In Tunisia. Haven't you played 2 full games of House Torres just to eat them at the start of Vic 2? Vic 3. No, I mean, they got yeeted for good roleplay reasons. I've said in the beginning, I'll say it again and again. In these roleplay campaigns, I am just as invested in our main house as you guys are, but I'm also not going to protect them from the roleplay, right? Like, if something happens or they're going to get ousted, I will not, like, what's the word? I will not railroad the game in order to keep them in power. And I think that sucks because we all get very invested in the family and the history, but like at the same time, I think it detracts from the overall story if you force things. So I really try not to do that. I know it can be aggravating, but like I said, I have not closed the door on a House Torres return here, in Hoi 4, or even in Stellaris. You gotta remember, House Torres defined Sardinia. There's plenty of them still around. There will always be a succession claim around for folks, right? Like, they can always come back. It's not like that door is just closed and done, and we executed the whole family. There's plenty of them out there. Through the widespread introduction of the atmospheric engine in the mining industry, production is at an all-time high. Let's get progress on water tube boilers. Guillermo Satima has an interest in astronomy, our other admiral. Nice. He's got the astronomer trait now. Innovative, traditional commander, and astronomer. It's a solid mix. Against the odds, despite not copying, enjoying full rights under Carso Sardinian loss of wealthier Amazigh people, where are they from? Middle Eastern. North Africa, I see. Have begun moving into neighborhoods and frequently establishing they would normally be excluded from. We are not going to allow that. We're a very conservative government. We are not the liberal republic that was proclaimed before Napoleon seized the throne. Look at that surplus. We're rolling. We're rolling. Get more construction built up here. Oh, the economic decline has finally been stabilized under the capable actions of, who would this probably be? It'd be Benedott di Renzi. He'd be the main probably leader of government at this point, given they're powerful. Political dynasty. Whoa. Comes from a distinguished family known for entering politics. Probably one of the old Sassari families, or one of the old Sardinian aristocratic families. He's a jingoist too. We are in no shape to be fighting wars. We have railways. Let's work on water tube boilers next. We're really focusing on the economy right now. The industrialists and the aristocracy are trying to modernize and increase their profits. For the moment. We don't have explosives. Let's also build our first motor industry plant on Sardinia as well. I still remember that we did RP Stellaris game when I was a megacorp and got your Empire Royal family addicted to McDonald's. Yeah, I remember that one, Condor. That was a fun one back in the day. It's like all the criminals to the French throne. They're all still around, even though the French haven't had a monarch since 1870. Yep, they're still around. Habsburgs are still around too, right? Royal families don't just disappear unless they get Romanovs, you know. Classical physics, nice. We can build observatories. Nice. Increases our science. We build an observatory in probably like the southern desert down in Tunis. That's a very good place for seeing the stars. Okay. Are we looking on paper? Our trade routes again. We don't need to be importing as much paper now. We're waning ourselves off wood. See if we can import anything else useful here. Luxury clothing. And the Brits. Explosives from the Americans. That's barely profitable. But I think it'll actually sustain our munitions plant, which we need for now. Tobacco from the Cubans. Oh, that's the good shit. Everyone needs iron. Tools we'll build more ourselves. We'll export more meat. No one wants to buy it, unfortunate. Luxury furniture. That's to the British. That might grow over time. Okay. We're gonna need more tools. Already. We'll build another tool workshop in Sardinia as well. We still have an excess of steel, I think, so we'll find on that. Having like serious galactic community talks and I come in like, you know what you need? New theme park in your colony. You were very much the megacorp in that game. Was that when I was playing like that, the hive mind AI that ruled over like the human colony in the south of the galaxy? I was that like I made that interesting species. I didn't stream it because I just wanted to do it for fun, that game, where I played like a human civilization that had built like a really good AI system that administered their government. So it was like a technocratic government where the AI ran everything. I think that was that game, right? That was a monarchy. What game was that? Who was I playing? I remember you in that, but I don't even remember who I was playing. Paper mills, yards, iron mines, chemical plants. Red iron tools, iron, motor industries, and then we'll work on railways. I hate building these basic goods, but there's no way to get around that. And I don't want to metagame this too. If I really wanted to metagame, we'd build no iron and I'd find ways to make the AI do it, but I'm not going to do that shit because it's so gimmicky. The AI, I do have anbuilds on, by the way. So the AI is going to be very competent, but like even then you can cheese them if you know what you're doing. What's up, Jay? Any specific fat provinces in this map? You mean like countries, or you mean like in Vic 3 as a whole? I mean Botswana is the thick boy. You mean that? If you're gonna meta game, you'll conquer the world in CK3. Probably doesn't work for Grand Campaign. No, it does not. So, gotta not do that stuff. In many of these games, I just have to do a readjustment. Vic 3 is like that. I don't meta game in Vic 3, but like, in our multiplayer games, a lot of the good players know what to do, so you have to be very good with your economy if you want to keep up. And I'm in that mindset. I'm trying to detach from it a little bit here. Because in our Vic 3 multiplayer games, if you're playing a medium and big country and you don't really work on your economy in an efficient manner, you'll get left behind. I wish that didn't happen in those games. They are still roleplay, but players definitely take maximal economic strategies, that's for sure. And I don't know how we'd even stop that. But I don't run the Vic games anymore, so not my problem. Really just waiting on industry here. Until we build an industry, we also can't be doing any wars or anything like that, so we're kind of very limited here. We can start to produce a little bit of liquor. Actually use that sugar properly. That's a green number. Yeah, so the game will tell you that something's very profitable and you should build it, when in fact you shouldn't. So like, for example, let's say we want to build wheat right now. The game tells you it's a green number, it's good. You make good earnings on it. You make very good income on it. In reality, you don't want to make wheat farms. Why? Putting your laborers into goods like wheat, which are very basic, will make the populations poor and uneducated. And you could be importing it from another country, making them bear the costs of it. So, in the macro perspective, the game doesn't quite always tell you. Some things are unintuitive until you learn it. Paradox games don't have a ton of inherent RP potential, so there's a little incentive to do it. I disagree completely on that axiom. I think they have some of the best RP potential. Because they're creative, they're sandboxes. They're fundamentally sandbox games, especially like CK3. But even their other games, I think, huge potential for roleplay. I think most people are just naturally adjusted towards playing min-max strategies or map painting, right? Partly because the game, I think in the past, Paradox incentivized that, and partly because any like tutorial video and any YouTuber or streamer you watch just does like metagamey shit. So the culture for it is more not roleplay, but I think the potential for it is very high. It's very easy to get into it if you choose to. More iron. Ooh, and we need a lot. Mechanically, disagree with you there. Every Paradox game has mechanics for roleplay. The one exception I will give is Hoi 4. Hoi 4 does not have much roleplay potential, which is ironic because it actually has the most, like the biggest role-playing community in Paradox, which I've never understood. I mean, it's more popular than all the other games, I guess, and has a bigger multiplayer community, but no, the one game I'll agree with you on that is Hoi 4, and I guess probably Imperator, but the rest, I disagree. I think it's very easy to roleplay all of them. The AI is not built around roleplay, so dealing with the AI when they're clearly doing just the meta, which is what the AI kind of has to do, that's very different. Let's look at our Diplo as well a little bit here. Who have rivaled us? The Bosnians, we'll rival them back as well. That's from from EU4. Castalla rivaled us, we'll rival them back. Oh, era of friendship that lasted for like, what, 20 years is done now? With Napoleon's conquest and destroying many of their colonies. Oh boy, Egypt's damaging relations. That's not good. They would destroy us in a war. We really need a big ally. And I really want us to not try and ally some of these big boys. Let's look. We only have our alliance left over with Brazil from EU4. Cuba, province. What about defensive agreements? Cuba, Ferrara, and province. Those aren't too bad, I think. They're not the strongest. Ferrara we've been friendly with. We actually helped release them in the War of Castalla. Let's make a defensive agreement with them. That'd be good for safety here. Keep improving relations with them. And then the Cubans would be good too. I like that. So we'll go ahead and form a defensive pact with the Cubans as well. We've had a very off and on relationship with them, but now it's a military junta and not pirates, so we can work with them much better. Giving us a little bit of deterrence here. We have to take Ferrari? Sure, but we're not rushing it. Regimento isn't a thing yet. We don't have a big push for like, what's it called? Italian unification yet. That doesn't exist. We don't have nationalism, so it's just not a big thought in the mind of our government right now. You gotta remember, like, things we view as like being real like that, like Italy or Germany and stuff, until nationalism really hit in the 19th century, most people didn't even conceive of those things actively, besides intellectuals sitting in rooms smoking cigars and talking about unified nations. Which we have plenty of, don't get me wrong, but they wouldn't be a big impact on our actual foreign policy. Not yet, at least. When nationalism hits, we're gonna change a lot of how we interact with the Italian countries. Including good old Popey there. Increase our production here again. I think we can go all to iron buildings now. Yep. Italy formed in 1861, yes. Historically, yes, but you gotta remember this isn't like the history of our timeline with Italy, right? There's no real incentive for a lot of the regimento stuff that is happening then that is happening now. It's just a very different timeline in my eyes, so regimento we'll really look into probably in the 50s, I'd say. That's when I think it would probably really hit us. Another decade or two. After the Napoleonic era, Italian unification just would not be the pressing thing. After fixing our economy, what will be our avenue of expansion and colonization going forward? Asia. We're going to be looking to expand the company in Asia once we stabilize here. By fighting wars with the other powers in the region. That'll be the next thing once we get the economy stabilized and rebuild our military. After EU4, our military is in shambles. Our ground forces are just a completely shadow of their former self. Our navy is in complete disrepair and needs to be upgraded. This is a very, very different Sardinian military than it was in the past. Let's go to better supply, officer selection. We'll start doing a few little tiny reforms here. There's a nation in New Guinea that used to be a Sardinian colony. Yes, right here. Oh, the Japanese one. Matu used to be ours, but then they got independence during EU4, so they'll probably be our first conquest when we go back to Asia. We'll have a vengeance here. We're going to be continuing the Shakatai, the Japanese, and the Maharashtra in the region, all of which are hostile to us. We have diplomats in Kyoto right now trying to rebuild relationships with the Japanese, but they don't like us too much. They're also currently, they have Castoro, the old monarch of the Torres dynasty, in their country right now. So it's a bit of a complicated political situation with them. He fled there after the Civil War. Saemundr is in Castalla still. Sure. Trade agreement with the Cubans? See if we can get that with anyone else too. Nope. Bureaucracy's really come back, thankfully. I remember that we used to just cannons on that land and destroyed the forest. In which area? Oh, yeah. In Papua, in that battle. Artillery only battle that we won. Why are they being bolstered? That's odd. That's weird. I am going to bolster a couple parties. We're going to bolster the industrialists. Where are they at? Business interests. We're going to bolster the military interests. And we will bolster... Am I missing anything? No, I think that's it, actually. Manchurian Revolution? Oh. It's a part of the Korea is revolting currently. They are actually trying to improve relations with us, so let's do the same back to them. Korea wouldn't be a bad trading partner as well in the region. Also, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick and grab a quick snack again. It's been a rather long stream, so I don't want to burn out too quickly here. I'll be back in like 5 minutes. I'm back. It's a bit better. Someone asked us about Vicky 3 if it's worth buying and playing right now. I think it's a fun game. I'd say whether you buy it or not depends on two things. Do you really like economic simulators? If you do, it's a cool game. It's worth playing. But it's also a question of economics. If you've got plenty of disposable income and you could throw money at a game and not worry about it, sure, pick it up and play it. It's fun. If like you're the type of person who has to pick and choose what you spend money on for your games, don't buy it. It's not worth it. There's better options out there. Vic 3, I think, will be developed into a fantastic game. The core features, I'm a big fan of. I've talked about that a lot. It's got a lot of good features to it. It is a very in-depth economic simulator. I'd argue a little bit deeper than Vic 2, but they're pretty comparable right now. They just do things a bit differently. But whether or not you want to get it is dependent on your disposable income, if you can throw money at a game, and how much you like economic simulators. For most people, probably not. I don't advise buying it right now. I think it'll become good with some more DLC and some more mods, but you might as well just wait for it, especially if, again, like, you know, dropping 40 bucks on a game is, you know, not insignificant to you economically. Don't buy it. I wouldn't recommend it. All right, we are back. Let's keep things going here. We have been doing diplomacy in Italy with the other Italian countries. Let's send diplomats to Lombardy and Savoy as well. Lombardy, obviously, we've had history with since like early CK2, really. We've gone in and out of good relations with them more times than I can count, and they are very hostile to us once again. Queen Agnes Albertinghi. That was the same dynasty as the Brits. I don't think it is anymore, though. No. Queen Victoria. Huh, the game replaced the British royal family with Victoria. That's unfortunate, but all right. So we're just doing a lot of diplomacy right now. Essentially what Sardinia is doing is, like I said, they're decaying under a corrupt, inefficient monarch. A poor excuse for Napoleon's heir. While doing so, however, our diplomatic corps is very active in Europe again. We've got a lot of diplomats in Europe and in Asia working to build good relations, primarily for trade right now. We are developing our country under the behest of many of the old burgher families and burgher organizations who are expanding our industrial stuff. A lot of this would be merchant guilds to private ownership, not industrial so much. And we are also obviously working on just generally rebuilding our military slowly but surely after the post-Napoleonic decline. You'd recommend Vic 2? Yeah, it's cheap. It's really cheap. If you want a quick, fun economic game that's cheap, I'd say pick up Vic 2. I'm not a big fan of it because it got abandoned by Victoria 3, and I think it's very outdated now. But if you're gonna get one of the two right now, I'd say probably buy Vicky 2. Get it like on sale on like a key store like Kingwin or something. Buy it like a cheap key on it, and then yeah, just check it out, play with it. Make sure to play with mods frame if you play Vic 2. The HPM mod in particular is very good. I recommend playing with that. Base Vic 2 is almost unplayable, so you're gonna want to play with mods, but I'd say definitely go for that. Thank you. I'll turn on the music. Yeah, my opinion on that is mainly like economic cost, right? You can get Vic 2 really cheap on a key site, whereas Vic 3 you can't. So, yeah. I do think Vic 3 is better than Vic 2 right now for what it is, but its price combined with some other issues, some bugs are still ironing out. Still probably, I'd say Vic 2 would be better right now if you want an economic simulator. Well, let's keep working on our eco here. I really do love the Vic 3 ecosystem. I think it's fantastic. It's a good starting point, but it needs a lot more work. It's all those games though. Bit of war. Steamships in a line. Upgrade our naval buildings here. We are going to upgrade our navy, retrofit some of the ships and part of the fleet, since we are trying to stabilize with a bit of a stronger Somalia. Now this is interesting because in EU4 they'd actually tried to do the same thing. They're trying to reconcile and work with us. They're a very odd country because they had a heyday a long time ago, but now they're really not too strong. That being said, they're really expanding quickly through Central Africa, and they'd be a good ally to have if we want to go colonial in Africa, which, given Europe has outpaced a lot of Central Africa very quickly, wouldn't be the worst idea. Monarchy, laissez-faire like us, very religious, and we don't care about that, so it's fine. They have embargoed Egypt, which we're also hostile with. We don't hate Egypt, but we fought them. Oh, I have two audio sources on. My bad. I just figured out what was wrong. There we go. Let me know if that's better. Should be right there. But yeah, we need more allies too. They have no military, they have no navy, they have a very good GDP. They'd make a good trade partner, potentially for cheap resources. Would be our main incentive to work with them here. Perfect. Yeah. We'll take the defensive pact with them and let's start trying to trade. What do they currently produce in large amounts? Cotton, which we could definitely use more of. Sugar, which we will need more of. We don't right now. Tropical hardwood in particular is of interest because we're not producing very much wood right now. We're importing it primarily from the Americans. Let's see if it's cheaper to import it from the Somalians. Cuba is actually even cheaper. We don't have a strategic interest together. Let's declare an interest then in this region. We lost our other one too. Where did we have that? With Brazil. We'll put that back in the Americas. When we get a strategic interest there, we can start to trade with the Somalians and see if we can get some cheaper tropical wood and maybe also some very cheap, just regular wood too, if they want to start cutting down more of their forest there. I think northern Ethiopia has some trees, right? Few. Iron mines, motor industries. Okay. Another tool factory. We're gonna very much need that. We get 80 each. Build that in Sardinia. We're gonna need a lot more coal. Build 3 more in Tuscany. We're actually running out of coal right now. That's a big issue. It only ever replaces Sardinia. We also need to start taking in our taxes here, but we gotta get this industry built early before we do anything else. I really don't know what to make out of Napoleon in terms of what he would be doing. He's a moderate, he's a conservative, he's a corrupt diplomat. He'd really just be doing diplomacy of other countries and nothing else. Like, he's the definition of a content, unambitious, incompetent monarch. We're really just treading water right now is what we're doing. Which sucks, but we're an autocratic government. He's the head of state. We can also colonize parts of Moravia here on the coastline next to Somalia. Colonizing parts of Madagascar wouldn't be a bad idea. The Admiralty wanted us to conquer it a long time ago in EU4 and we never did, so let's see if we can build a colony there. Not quite yet. When we get the diplomatic interest. We do. I bet this has malaria. Yeah, we need quinine. And we're not going to rush it either. A boy king, true. An incompetent one at that. We've had many boy kings in the past in Sardinia. Young monarchs who came to age. Many of them tended to be actually very competent. He's not one of them. That is loud again. These music playlists, they completely change the volume every time, on every song. Drives me crazy. Our government's popularity is declining. A lot of that's the radicals and the interest groups who are pissing off of our current policies. But again, he's a moderate, he's a conservative, and he's just trying to maintain the status quo really for us right now. Chagatai is doing very, very good. Their economy is growing. Oh no, it's not stagnating. Population is growing very quickly. The Mewar. Isn't that in India? It is. Now that's interesting. We've had an alliance offer from one of the Indian princedoms. They own modern-day Bengal, as well as modern-day Rajasthan, Jaipur region, I think. This is an entrance into Indian politics if we want to take it. Yeah, they're rivals with both of their neighbors. They're very strong, though. They're weaker than both. This is a dangerous game to get in on because we're not very powerful militarily, but we could set the stage for some later interactions with India that could be very useful. We're going to take that. We're going to take a defensive alliance with the Miwar. I'll send a diplomat to their court and establish proper relations, too. Interesting. Do you have an agitator you want in the game that isn't? I do not, S-Duster. Oh, you mean like broadly speaking in like the game itself? I don't know the full list of agitators, I'm going to be honest. So I actually don't have like any that come to mind, I would say. Oh, that's how you change it. Okay. We actually have a lot of agitators in our government right now, or in our country rather. Or who we could invite rather. I haven't used the system of Tum yet. Again, I don't think any of these we'd really do. The radical liberals might try and invite someone, not gonna lie. Oh. Historical ones, I mean. I'm trying to think if any come to mind. I haven't really thought about it too much. Do they have Lenin in the game? I assume they have Lenin, right? That's a big one. Lenin is in. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought too much about it, so I couldn't say. Do you have any, Duster? No one took Tasmania. I don't think so. Or Somalia did. Do I have this right? My geography? Tasmania. Yeah, it's currently controlled by the Indian colony in Australia. India owns the majority of Australia, much like they own California as colonies. The Chagatai are gonna give us a trade agreement. That is huge. Unexpected. Our good relationships and our diplomacy is really paying off right now. And the Americans are gonna give us a trade deal. Oh yeah. This is lovely. This is exactly what we want. To start building good relationships and good trade partners before we go back to our old colonial ways here. You have a lot of influence. Oh. Alaska is owned by the Indians as well. They took it from the Castallans in a war. Emma Goldman and Lysander Spooner. I don't know either one of them. Let's Google very briefly. Goldman. Russian-born anarchist and political activist and writer. Interesting. Good role in development of anarchist political philosophy in Northern America and Europe. And then Lysander Spooner. There's a whole list from the Russian Revolutionary period. There's so many interesting ones. Lysander Spooner. American individualist, anarchist, abolitionist, entrepreneur, lawyer, and essayist. I've never heard of him, actually. He was active in the middle of the 19th century. He's got a nice beard. As an advocate for the labor movement and anti-authoritarian and individual anarchist policies. Interesting. So basically anarchist, folks. I don't think they put a lot of work into that. There's not even really many laws that properly represent anarchism, which was actually a very popular ideology among radical circles for a lot of the 19th and early 20th centuries. It's still around for sure, but not like it was. You have anarchy, but I don't think it properly represents what anarchist governments are, or anarchist ideology. It's a lot more nuanced than that. Rosa Luxemburg is in the game. French Indian War of a different type, perhaps. The French are just not really that relevant anymore, you have to remember. I mean, they're solid. They're a European player, but they're nothing like they used to be. Also, it feels very empty without button clicking sounds. 1 second. ambiance, and then interface. We need those button clicking sounds. Here. I don't have desktop audio on actually, so I don't know if it'll even show up. I think it will for my recording though, so it's fine. Just to be safe. America is French in this timeline, that's true. We got water tube boiler, another big innovation in our production techniques and our growing industrial sphere. Let's see. Let's work on probably military at this point. Yeah. Let's start working on, I'd say probably ironclads to get ahead on Navy. I mean, we've always been so far ahead of everyone else in that capacity. We'll do rifling and then we'll go for ironclads to try and upgrade our military a little bit here. What would Napoleon choose to research? He wouldn't really be at the head of it, our country would, but for him, he wouldn't give a shit. He's a moderate conservative with no intellectual interest at all. He'd be completely ignoring it. So the Naval Admiralty would be very involved, the military would be very involved, and then the burger old school like trading organizations would be very heavy in terms of leading research, right? So we did the production research, then we're gonna do the military research to represent the, I think, only groups in our government that would really be doing much of that or funding it, period. Yeah, he's already balding, isn't he? Oh, look at that. That's a deep one. Ah, Napoleon. Let's build our first railroad. We're going to build it in Sardinia to deal with our issues of all the many factories we have in Sassari. We'll build our first railroad there. We will have coal and engines for, so we'll be fun. Industrially, what else do we need? More iron, always. More tools. We're about to do that. We'll do another shipyard in Sardinia. And then let's build an opera house in Sardinia as well. I mean, we had Liszt visit us for a while, so there'd be, I'm sure, a lot of popularity among the rich and upper class to get seriously into music and opera. So we'll build an opera house, and we'll start producing instruments with our, I think it's tool workshops that we can do that with as well. And get a bit of a musical wave going on in the capital. How big is Sardinia on the map? A pretty good size. Cagliari is way smaller, historically accurate. I love the Vic 3 map. It's so nice to look at. He's very good at diplomacy. That is the one thing our current monarch has. Napoleon is a very competent diplomat. Not amazing, but very competent, which is why we've started to make some new alliances with unexpected people and why we started to really at least stabilize our relations with countries who have had big problems with us historically. Speaking of which, not many other powers for us to really work with here. We'll send a diplomat to Gran Colombia too. Another potentially useful trade partner. A historical musical of Sullivan's life like Hamilton. Oh, I'd watch that. That'd be good. Anarchism is a model well enough, but not great. It's odd though that there is not much focus on anarchism since it was the prevailing radical ideology in the time frame of Vic 3. It was very big in the 19th century and early 20th, yeah. I don't know. It's more nuanced in terms of like many people not understanding it compared to other forms of radical left thought. So my guess is that devs just didn't want to put the time into it, and it'll probably require a good mod or two. I don't know if we'll get that from Paradox. There's a civil war. The papal regions in North Africa are revolting against them. Hold on. Oh, it started already, damn it. Did it? Yep. The Papal McGregor Company is currently revolting against the Papal States. That's the southern region that we're bordering. Scandinavia we've been hostile with for a long time. I don't know if we can rebuild that ever. There's 10,000 people there revolting. No, 160,000. Okay. I don't think they have the forces to deal with this, do they? No, they have 21 battalions. They might be able to. Yeah. They're sure as hell not working for our land. Walking through our territory, though. I can tell you that. Yeah, that does look very nice for our expansion, I have to say. Can we jump in and fight a war with them and steal their land? We have to fight the people states. Who are their current allies? They have no allies. Bolivia is a puppet. People La Plata is a puppet. Their military is actually larger than ours right now. Our house is not in order, but when it is, we're going to go after the Pope. I think that'll be our next big war. Criminal organizations have begun operating in Tunisia. Let's try and deal with that. Put money into it. We got to get out of our deficit, and then we have to modernize our military before we start thinking about wars. The economy is stable for the moment, though, so we're good on that front. No thanks to Napoleon II, though, I can tell you that. We're going to get rifling here, too, and then we'll have a bit of a tech advantage, which will be very nice. Train supply, if we get engines, would it really help out as well? We are the decisions again as well. Start trying to increase our naval professionalism here as well. The corruption of the Corsican Sardinian Navy is at a critical point. Some believe a complete replacement of the Admiralty is in order. So it would really piss off the military, though. Oh, they're saying we need to fire all of our admirals. Can we swing that with the military? No. We'll reshuffle the officers. We're not going to completely throw everything out. We're not radical. It's a very moderate government right now. Level 5 university we could certainly build. Let's work on that in a little bit as well. Or 5. When are we going to build the Suez Canal? We would need to be much wealthier to do that. It is insanely expensive. Streamer is a Pope Puncher confirmed. Absolutely. Okay. Railways in Sardinia are almost done. Then we're going to work on that opera house. Universities. And then what are we missing? Textile industry. That we absolutely need to build. We'll build that in Campania. And we need to make luxury clothing especially. I don't want to import that. We need to build that ourselves. We also need to build a port in Kyushu so they can actually get out of there. All those people are currently stuck and we can't trade with them at all. Our government completely forgot about them. We are going to need sulfur. That's actually quite high priority. Chemical plant is not productive due to a lack of capable workers and sulfur prices. So we'll compensate with a sulfur mine and then we can actually get a profitable explosive plant, which will make our munition plant very efficient, and we'll be able to actually stock our navy with the equipment they need. Might be time for a name change. You're no longer merely Sardinia and Corsica. It's the historical name, though. I think we're going to probably keep it until or unless we form Italy. It's been around for so long. It's the historical name. So I think we'll keep it until we form Italy, which we probably will do, but there's no certainty. I will not force it if other things happen. But I think we'll definitely go there when Regimental kicks off. We can also go condensed engine pumps now. Way more coal. Way more iron. We have a surplus of coal too. Let's go ahead and light Sassari with coal lamps or with street lamps. I think we can do that now, right? That's a big moment for modernizing our capital. Yeah, we actually have enough coal for it. We are going to officially put in gas streetlights in Sassari. Modern times for a modern city. We'll put in public trains as well. Now that we've built the railroads there. All that remains is to build market squares, which require a glass production, so we'll put that onto the list too. Really developing up the capital. Glassworks. We'll build that in Campania. How many more hours? Ooh, probably 1, maybe 2. I gotta mow the yard tonight too, and then I gotta be up to stream tomorrow at 10 a.m., so not too much more. I'm gonna have to mow the lawn in the dark, use a headlamp. Budget's looking good. We're gonna bring down taxes in a little bit. We could actually put up construction, to be honest. Yeah, why not? Let's upgrade our production in Tunisia. Up our expansion. Rip the neighbors sleeping. They'll be fine. The neighbors, to where I'm at, play blast music until 4 a.m. every night at ridiculous volumes, so they can go fuck themselves. Trade agreement with the French? I don't think so. Absolutely not. That's funny. It's funny. The Salians. Ah, that was the monarchy that we tried to oust in the HRE back in CK2 of Lissandro, or CK3. Same dynasty. You've got old beef with them. We overthrew one of their family members to put our daughter of a matrilineal marriage on the throne, and then she never had fucking kids. Or she only had daughters, I think, wasn't it? Ridiculous. Could not do her duty. Waldham has showed himself cutting the lawn at 12 at night. We need to catch him. Probably like 10, 20. It won't be too bad. Alrighty. We're on track. Oh. Look at that debt. We're under $1 million in loans. Finally. Our rank has gone way up as well. Our GDP is really high too. We're above Egypt and Lithuania. Wow. And Castalla. I'm in Ohio, Seth. Ohio, US. One of those central flyover states. Well, these aren't very useful. I'm going to remove them. Grain we should import. We'll import grain from the Chagatai, very cheap, and we will not need to put all of any resources into that. Wood from the Americans. liquor to the Pope. And meat we cannot export for the life of us. We're in Ohio. Rural areas. I'm not gonna dox myself. More rural. Small town. Live with my aunt. I don't normally mow the lawn at night. It's very abnormal. It's just the weekends I stream really late, and then, you know, shit's gotta get done, so. Sulfur mine, and then we will have all those production methods good to go. Universities, textiles, ports, and glass. We've got the basis of an actual economy finally. All it took was 6 years of incompetent, corrupt rule. Nabucco. Giuseppe Verdi has celebrated the greatest success of his career so far with his latest opera. At the same time, it incites nationalist feelings to the Italian people. Nabucco is an Italian-language opera in 4 acts composed in 1841 by Giuseppe Verdi to an Italian libretto by Temestocoli Solera. I'm butchering these names. The best-known number from the opera is the chorus of the Hebrew slaves, a chorus that is regularly given. I'm going to play this song while we're reading this too. Why not? Let's get some good music going on. Oh my god, it's 2 hours long. Yeah, mega opera. Well, I'll play the chorus part. Not the dramatic theater version. Alright, this is the song that's being talked about. I really like Verdi. He's a very good composer. One of my favorites. He commented that this is the opera with which my artistic career really begins. And though I had many difficulties to fight with, it is certain that Nabucco was born under a lucky star. The story of captivity of the Jews in Babylonia became a breakthrough throughout Italy, not least because Italians felt dominated by foreign powers in the age of nationalism. To that extent, Verdi actually served Italian nationalist feelings in Nabucco is still controversial today. Pensiero. Let's actually start the song. What do I do for a living? I deliver food. When I need extra money. Let's do the train rail supply. Actually, how are we looking on infrastructure? Oh, he's got a deficit. We'll need to build more. Oof. Oh, gotta love Verdi, man. A lot of classical composers I don't like because they're fucking boring, dude. You can make an objectively interesting and good song that's boring as shit. A lot of classical composers do that. But then you got boys like, you know, Tchaikovsky, Wagner, Verdi, Mozart, and their shit just is different because it's got like actual fucking intensity and flair and it moves around. Verdi I always like for that reason. He's not one of those boring ass composers. Don't get me wrong, their music is still very good, but like, if I listen to classical, I want like a little bit of oomph there, you know? We'll need to make instruments for the opera house. Put one of our tool factories on that. Campania will make... We don't need many. We'll just do artisanal instrument makers. Still not productive because it's making fertilizer. We need to be doing the LeBlanc process to actually make explosives. There we go. That'll be actually valuable. Sardinian opera, true, it's beginning. Do I have a 9-to-5 job? No, I don't. Absolutely not. I may go back to one at some point. I'm in no rush for it, personally. My income's from delivering food, and then I actually make not crazy money, but a solid amount of money actually off my YouTube channel. More than I was actually expecting. And with that, I can pay most of my bills. So I put a lot of my time into streaming and YouTube, I'm going to be honest, and learning to edit better. My editing skills have gotten a lot better, and I've been really trying to learn some cooler stuff, like some 4D motion stuff. I've been learning After Effects and stuff. So at some point I may transition to do editing for folks or something. See if that works out. Originally, I'd gone to college for politics, so I was going to go into policy analysis and campaigning and stuff, but I've told the story many times. I got dropped out of school because during COVID, I had to move out of state because I lost my job at the college I was working at and I couldn't afford rent. So I moved to Ohio to stay with my aunt, and then I lost my financial aid because I was out of state. I was not in state in California. I was out of state, so I lost part of my financial aid, and then I got out of state tuition fees, which I just could not afford. So I dropped out of college, which sucked. So ever since, I've been doing just basically anything to pay the bills. I don't know. Very weird stage in my life. Who knows? It was, I think, around 2 years ago. A year and a half, 2 years ago. Like that. Okay. We have all of our universities built in Sardinia. We should get the journal entry for that done. Which is philosophy department. We need to get the occupancy at max, and then we'll be fine. What? What? Roman peasant revolt? The southern tip of Italy is currently revolting against the Papal States. It said Italy, didn't it? Yeah, oh, in Italy. Okay, the region. I thought Italy was revolting, and I was very confused for a moment. Obviously, you get some money from all the great work you put into your videos. Appreciate that, man. It's really my tutorial videos make all the money. My roleplay ones don't make much, but the tutorial content actually makes a lot of money on YouTube. It has very high CPM. We have secured funding for philosophy departments in all of our institutions of higher learning. The University of Sardinia has chosen to focus this funding on advancing Hegelian dialectics. You have to be very intelligent to understand dialectics. The method is extremely subtle, and without a solid grasp of continental philosophy, most of it will go over a typical undergraduate's head. Philosophy. Everyone revolting against the guy you want to destroy? True. I mean, it keeps them weak while we rebuild the military, though, because we're in no shape to fight a full-on war right now. We are just not going to be able to do that. We have very cheap grain that's helping to raise, I'm sure, our quality of life here. We do need to work on some of these standard of living things. Clothing in particular, which we're going to work on. And then railways for public transportation cheapness would be a very good idea. Is there anyone else we're going to need? Infrastructure? Yeah. Nope. We're really actually good on that right now. We'll build a train line into Corsica, though. Of a big area. Hey, Hamu, are there any Hellenic provinces around in Sardinia? I don't think so. Ah! There's actually a very big, there's a lot of Hellenic worshippers in Tunis. Actually, there's not a religion map mode, I don't think, is there? No. Population. Charts. Religion. So a little under 500,000 of our population is Hellenic. Catholicism dominates with 12.4, Sunni 3.7, Orthodox 1.8. That's weird. Animist 500,000, Shiite 500,000, Hellenic 500,000, Hindu 234,000. That's in our colonies in Asia. A lot of Shinto and Jewish as well. Interesting. 4,000 Tengri as well. There's no area that's specifically dominated by the Hellenic religion, though, to be fair. So, yeah. To make money, you must do things you dislike sometimes. That's true. That's most jobs, to be fair. Especially early ones that you work in life. Even Victorian era Europe can't escape Rick and Morty memes. Oh boy. No, Hellenic is still around. I thought about like forcing it in EU4, but I just didn't feel like it made a lot of sense. So we'll see. All right. Anyway, that was the Nabucco overture that we saw in that event. So go back to regular music. Very dramatic, and it's stirring up Italian nationalism as well. So there is beginning to be a bit of an Italian Risorgimento movement going on now. So it's early in its stages. Music really did a lot to shift political movements in the 19th century. I mean, it still does it to this day, but especially in this time period, a lot of music was so impactful in things. It's Rick and Morty meme? Yeah. Regional phenomenon rather than a huge Sardinian movement. Yeah, exactly. It was just a revamp, like sort of return to it that like got really popular in like probably I'd say I think the 16th century we had the most, or 17th. And then it's kind of died back down. We're religiously open, and we have been for probably 100 years. So like they're not persecuted, but that probably has made them a little less popular. It's not like, you know, they're being persecuted. So, you know, many religious movements actually get a lot of popularity off of that. The Chagatai really like us. This is really surprising to me. They weren't super hostile actually to us in EU4, but you would not expect it. Speaking of which, let's see if there's anything we can import out of them, given that we actually have a trade agreement with them. Let's look at what they're producing in their market. See if we can take advantage of anything. We might even be able to resell some stuff. Oh my god, furniture and fabric from them would be huge. Sure. Oh yeah, look at that. And then fabric. Yep. Paper, actually. I think we have most of what we need produced at this point, but let's see if we can take any more from them. Yeah, I think we have a surplus. We're trading for most of it, though. Who are we trading paper with? Ah, the Chagatai. Okay, good. Already doing that. I think. Yeah. Sugar and dyes would be very cheap. Same with silk. Tea. Start importing tea from them. It's one of those, I think, things we actually can make a demand for, but we have to first import it. Tea. Can't import tea, yeah. It'll be, some of these things will say it's unproductive if you don't have any in your country, but if your people get a taste for it, it'll actually go up. So let's see if we can make some demand for tea in our country. We're importing all of our grain from them. They produce so much, don't they? Luxury furniture, but I don't want to actually do that. I want us to produce it on our own. Opium. It's not opened that door quite yet. So we're making a textile mills. Let's start doing craftsman sewing. And then we're going to import the silk from them in order to do so. Silk. There we go. Very profitable as well. We're just abusing our trade agreement with the Chagatai. Lots of cheap goods. Dyes as well wouldn't be a bad idea. Do we still have a surplus of those? Yeah, we do. What else? You're watching me represent the burghers in Sardinia salivating as they look over their profit margins on trade with Chagatai right now. That's what this is. Importing porcelain from them already. Oh. Glass we could export to them, maybe. There'd probably be other countries that would pay more, though. What do they need? What could we sell them for lots of money? Art? Sulfur would be big, actually. Explosives they need. Engines we can export. That'd be big. We could make a lot of money on that. Iron, that's their problem. Yeah, let's export engines and sulfur, mainly engines to the Chagatai. Make them reliant on us for their industrial goods. To reduce our trade deficit with them as well, which would be a big point of contention. I think we have a surplus. We do. Export that to the Chagatai. There we go. Somalia likes you because of Egypt. Wonder why Chagatai likes you. I don't know either. We weren't on bad relations with them in EU4. I really don't know why they like us. I'm going to be honest. Diplomacy views us as a natural ally. So apparently in the code, we're just considered a natural ally. I don't know why. And then we obviously sent a diplomat for a while, which really helped, but just there's a natural liking towards us. I mean, we are the only European power to have colonized in Asia. So whereas in like our timeline, so many European powers just like scrambled over each other to get to Asia, it made everyone in the region hate them, including the Ming, right? In this timeline, it was just a bunch of Asian countries vying for control and colonies in the region, and us as the first European there gives them the option to have a very powerful military partner with modern technologies, well, at least more modern than them, and it also gives potentially the ability to export to them manufactured goods from Europe. So for those reasons, and given the fact that we aren't strong enough in Asia to really contend them, like it's kind of a situation where they would have the high point militarily, but the low point in things that they need in terms of like trade and science. That actually might make sense, not gonna lie. That makes sense. Hope more people find your channel. It's fucking incredible. Easily one of the best RP channels to play Paradox. Hey man, appreciate that. Nabucco. Giuseppe Verdi has celebrated the greatest success of his career so far in his latest opera, continuing to incite feelings of nationalism in Italy. Alrighty. It is starting to take off here. See how this changes the trade game too. We're going to hold on to this for now because we're going to produce more of them and it will create more demand. It's a really valuable one. Making so much money off that cheap grain coming from the Chagatai and the paper and the fruit, or exporting it to them. Huh. Hold on. We're reselling Chagatai furniture to Egypt. Oh, can we start making money off the Chagatai and double dip here? Let's take a look at that. We're not getting enough from them yet. Hold on, let me look at this. Yeah, it's gonna go up. It's gonna go to level 7. We can resell Chagatai furniture and make a profit here. Because they're traditionalist, and I think they have mercantilistic policies. Oh boy. That might cause some diplomatic issues, but probably would be worth it, honestly. Our economy is really coming back now. We can start decreasing taxes, I would say, at this point. To get all those very angry, very poor people off of our doorsteps in the palace. Any changes with Napoleon? Nope. 19-year-old still very corrupt. Glass. We'll want to make our... It'd be cheaper for us just to make glass and import ceramics from the Chagatai. So we're not going to even make any of those, actually, I think, is how we're going to do this. Where's the victory playlist? That's not the right one. Torre 3. There we are. Who is the heir? We don't have one right now. He hasn't born any children yet. Okay. Water tube boiler. We don't have enough tools and coal for that quite yet, though. Still not valuable due to fertilizer being so cheap. Can we export our fertilizer? Yeah. So the Japanese and the Chagatai and the Americans, we can all make money on that fertilizer, which will actually make our chemical plants productive, and will make our livestock ranches more productive too. Sardinia and Chagatai relationship. We're building one. I would imagine it's much more similar to like the Portuguese and the Ming, or like the Dutch and the Japanese, in that like, although the countries working with us for strategic uses, it's not like many alliances or agreements that are made like with governments where it's like, it's intended to be like an expanding long-term agreement. It's much more of like a very, what's the word? I'm trying to think of how to describe it. Like it's more of an agreement of convenience as well as need, rather than the desire to build long-term relationships, you know, if that makes sense. That's the vibe I would kind of get off this, similar to European countries in the Ming or Japan, because of the culture clashes, especially the religious ones. I mean, we have free religion, but they are very Sunni. So Sunni, I think, or is it Shia? And the main part, Sunni. Okay. A wonderful Great Comet has been filling the heavens for days. The Great Comet of 1843 was a long period comet which became very bright in the March of 43. It was discovered in February 5th and rapidly brightened to become a great comet. It was a member of the Kreutz sun grazers, a family of comets resulted from the breakup of a planet comet into multiple fragments in about 1106. These comets pass extremely close to the surface of the sun within a few solar radii and often become very bright as a result. It passed closest to Earth in March 6, 1843 and was at its greatest brilliance the following day. Unfortunately for observers north of the equator, at its peak, it was best visible from the southern hemisphere. So we'd see a little bit of it. Nice. Looking good here. That music up too. I think it's on max. Even though Napoleon gets a lot of well-deserved shade, you can't deny he's a good diplomat. He is. Diplomatically, what he's done for Sardinia already in the beginning or the mid part of the 19th century has been huge. He's secured an alliance with Somalia, with Cuba, and with the Mewar princedom in India, and he's built up a functioning relationship with the Chagatai. Not all his doing, but he'd certainly be involved with it. So diplomatically, he's proven quite capable. If he was an EU4 leader, he'd probably have like 5 or 6 diplo, you know, something like that. We have rifling. Let's start to work on ironclads. I want to get those early. Keep up with our advanced naval capacity. With rifling, okay, modernize the military a little bit, I think, right? I thought you get a PM for rifling, or am I wrong? I know it makes munition plants better. I guess not. No, just better production for munition plants. That's weird. That's not. Not worth it. We are going to need more coal. Is anyone able to export us coal? There we go. That's blasting. Nope, we'll have to produce more of it. We could become a very big exporter of coal. That would make a lot of sense, but actually, I think we're almost out of it, right? We can't make much more, I don't think. Sardinia, and then a tiny bit in, where is that at? In Sumatra as well. That's about it. If we get Queen Island and go into Madagascar, we get it there, but we don't know that yet, so. Welcome back, Orion. Not quite enough transportation yet. That was scary? What happened? Your D&D game? Okay. There's a political movement for dedicated police force right now and for state religion, which we're not doing. There's an agitator right now. Carmine Tenor is trying to enact state religion, which we value the old system. So we're going to go ahead and exile him, which will piss off the liberals. It's fine. In a one of his more direct acts in recent years, Napoleon II met with the leader of a liberal movement in his government and exiled him permanently from Sardinia. Better than executing, to be fair. Dedicated police force, I don't think we'd be opposed to, actually. Let's go ahead and pass that. It's supported by so many people. Yeah, no one does not support it, basically. Yeah. Oh, is this your first time DMing it? That's fair. Takes some adjusting to get used to doing it. A fortress in Sardinia and Sicily wouldn't be a bad idea either. After upgrading the telescope at one of our main observatories, our astronomers were able to discover 2 new moons of Saturn. The moons of Saturn are numerous and diverse, ranging from tiny moonlets, only tens of meters across, to enormous Titan, which is larger than the planet Mercury. Saturn has 83 moons, which confirmed orbits that are not embedded in rings, as well as dense rings that contain millions of embedded moonlets and innumerable small ring particles. 7 Saturnian moons are large enough to have collapsed into relaxed ellipsoidal shape. Only 2 of those, Titan and possibly Rhea, are currently in hydrostatic equilibrium. Nice. Modern astronomy bonus. We have a building for observatories, don't we? I guess not. Nope. Look at the Opera House building, too. I haven't looked at that. Old elites. And we'll make it romantic orchestra. We'll make it a little bit more modern. Need more instruments, but we have them. We can't build an admiralty and we can't build an observatory. I think you need to do decisions for those, actually, don't you? Yeah, here we go. Found an observatory. We can do that. I'm gonna open up all these. Geographic decisions. Map the American Western frontier. No, we don't need that. Build an admiralty. It'll be very expensive, but I think it's about time for us to go ahead and do that. That'll really screw our bureaucracy for a little while here. Yeah. What do we need to build one? We need to have gold reserves at 30,000 and then we can build an observatory. We are working on a high admiralty right now. Is it like a building that we're building? No. The way the mod does these is a little odd. Huh. Dragon tried to kill us in the entire town. Oh boy. Dragons in early sessions, oh boy. Try to do a sort of sandbox approach, but also a small town feel in the Fandolin setting. It's also a duet GM and one player. Oh, for sure. That's nice. Yeah, it's spoiling Stellaris a little bit. You know what's crazy is exoplanets were confirmed until like 20, 30 years ago. I remember talking to my dad about that when I was younger, and he was talking about how quickly science changes and stuff like that. And one of the things he talked about, which I find to this day mind-blowing, is that when he grew up in school, they said that planets around other stars probably didn't exist. He got taught that in school in Ohio when he was a kid, because we didn't confirm exoplanets until very recently. Stuff like that we just assume is so normal is just like, you know, even 30, 40 years ago wasn't a thing, and these times it certainly wasn't. I mean, this is the era, in the Victorian era, they still thought that like the crevices on the moon were canals, right? That was the whole thing back in the day, is that many parts of Europe, it was like a commonly held belief was that the moon was inhabited by like either another human or alien civilization, because they thought that like the crevices and like, you know, the coloring on the moon and the ones they saw through telescopes were like canals or roads. So they thought that there was like alien species on the moon and stuff. And that existed until shockingly late in the 19th century and stuff like that. Fucking wild. Like without proper science and stuff. Mars too, yeah. Planets that orbit, or like confirmed planets that orbit stars. That are like, you know, similar to ours, or at least are not like, you know, that would be classified properly as planets. So not like, you know, Pluto or just like comets and stuff like that. It's crazy that we only recently discovered plate tectonics was only proven in the 1960s. Shit like that too. Wild. Ohio was trying to put out propaganda to stop their best sons and daughters from trying to escape yet again, like those many men in the Apollo program. That's true. That checks out, Orion. Fuck. Feeling Hammurabi would be a good DM and a lot of role-playing, world-building on the fly thinking. I DM'd for years. I did a lot of DMing when I was younger. I DM'd from age 12, I think. I started DMing very early. Their fair share. Opposition politicians from the reactionaries are worried about their interests aren't going to be represented in the newly reformed Admiralty. This attempt to centralize and expand the Navy's command structure is a blatant power grab from the sitting government, said one of the politicians. The Minister of the Navy is an aristocratic interest pocket, and his staff is a bunch of political appointees. It's the reactionaries. We don't need them, but they're not as hostile as some groups. They're happy right now. So we'll make some concessions and slow down the process. Yeah, I started GMing when I was 12. When I moved to the US, when I think I was like 10 or 11 from Scotland, I was homeschooled at the time. And a buddy I made, like a friend I made in like this homeschool group I went to. Because when you're homeschooled, the only way you make friends is like going to these groups. It's very weird. But anyway, his brother was really into D&D. And he used to bring over the D&D handbook. And we'd like do it and stuff. And in the beginning, he DM'd a bit, and he got bored of DMing. So the only way I could get to like keep playing D&D was to DM. So I started DMing a lot when I was young. I DM'd a bunch of very large groups through my friend groups all through high school. And in the early parts of college, I DM'd a lot too. And then I actually DM'd a bunch online as well. 3.5. 90% of my DMing was done in D&D 3.5. I DM'd a couple campaigns in GURPS, which is a really old system. I DM'd one campaign in Traveler, which is a sci-fi one. I DM'd, I think, one game in 4. I didn't like 4 very much. Most in 3.5. What made me stop? I'm just too busy. When I DM, I like to put in a lot of work to world building and a lot of work into characters and stuff like that. And I don't want to DM if I can't put in like hours and hours into it, right? And I just didn't have the time after the middle of college anymore. So, been a while. I'll go back to it one day when I have more disposable time. Okay, railways, motor industries for exports. Then what are we wanting to work on here? We need a lot more music. There's a lot of demand for it by our aristocracy. We need a lot more transportation. And we need more textile mills. Okay, we'll build another, we'll build a railroad in Campania and in Sicily. We will build tobacco plantations in Tuscany, because we can't import any cheaply right now. Those are easier to build, so we'll make more of them. And then we'll work on... We need more coal. Where's the other thing I was going to build? Steel. Opera house we already have. We're not going to build more. Can we upgrade it? We can. We'll expand the opera house in Sardinia, and we'll build an art academy there as well. Be good. What do you think about 1D&D? It looks interesting from what I've seen. Obviously, last time I checked, there wasn't a lot of information still out about it. It's supposed to be the final one by Wizards of the Coast, so I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it. I didn't love or hate 5.0, so I don't know. I don't have a lot of strong opinions on it. Dungeon Master Cheese. They run D&D game campaigns. You and your friend could use his dad's books, so the first edition was AD&D 2E. Oh, that's some old shit. That's like 80s, right? I think 80s. Man, old school stuff. Let's try and increase naval professionalism again. To ensure a well-functioning navy, we need to purchase new equipment. We'll find an affordable supplier. We're still losing a lot of money while we're building the Admiralty right now, so we'll wait on that. The political wills and desires of the lower classes will always remain an opaque matter. For whatever reason, support of the dedicated police force has spread like wildfire across Sardinia, spurred on by charismatic speakers and lively debates in small-time social clubs. Wonderful. Or we can get more loyalists. Well, we'll go wave of popular support and grassroots support as well. Been trying and trying since early college? That's fair. That takes time. If you want to like a trial by fire to really learn how to DM, just like DM a group of 5 people. Then you really learn how to do that shit. Dealing with all that bullshit. If you ever want to get back into DMing and you're missing a player, hit me up. For sure. I don't have plans for it for a long time. Maybe one day. I did stream that D&D campaign with Chris a while back, but we put that on hold a while because he's been working a lot. I don't know if we'll ever continue. Okay. How's our colonies doing? Tunis expansion is very slow. We have one in Asia, I thought, didn't we? So. No, just in Africa, actually. When we build the Admiralty, I'm going to expand our army as well. We need a larger one. We have so few right now. It's time to properly rebuild it. With our actual growing economy now. Beautiful. More passenger trains, deal with transportation issues. Egalitarianism unlocked. Egalitarianism is the doctrine of equality of mankind and the desirability of political, economic, and social equality. I bet we're getting that from the Bavarians and from the old revolutionaries. Just gonna try and make people not look too deeply into that, since we're an autocratic government. We don't have an art academy yet, then we can get that one done. What's the GDP of the Chagatai? It is currently 205 million. It's grown, but very slowly and very little. India's growing pretty quick. I bet Britain's going crazy. Not really, actually. Slow. Bavaria is really growing. Collectivized agriculture will do that. Wish there was a menu to compare GDP growth of countries in Vic 3. Mexico's growing very fast. What the hell happened in Brazil? Hey, the stock market crash. Egypt's growing very fast as well. Can we colonize Madagascar? After we get the Queen Anne technology, yes. Brazil's colonizing Rio. Oh, man. Yep. Politicians representing the aristocratic interests are complaining that the newly reformed admiralty doesn't benefit them enough. This is our main force in government. We can't piss them off either, so we're going to delay this even more. Fuck, this is expensive at this point. At a certain point, we have to just start pissing people off. This afternoon, Ferdinando Ruggiera, the leader of the reactionaries, delivered a fiery speech advocating for the enactment of the dedicated police force. Fantastic. We will definitely pass the next one. The manufacture of steam engines has become a profitable industry in Sardinia thanks to our sound investment in locomotive technology. These engines are already being employed across new Corsican Sardinia railway lines. We're on the track for innovation. Yeah, Takrur is gone. They got annexed to EU4. And then Yorubaland collapsed as well, because it became decentralized with our save translator. I'm not really sure how we're going to describe that in the RP, but... Our demographics? You mean like our population ones? Peasants 71%, laborers 12%, clerks 5%, clergy 4%, shopkeepers 1.5%, bureaucrats, machinists, aristocrats, and the rest are very marginal. Politically, the shopkeepers dominate, as do the capitalists and the aristocrats in our government. Culturally, we're mostly Maghrebi from northern Africa and South Italian. Ethnically, Maghrebi, Southern Italian, Amazigh, which are one, I think that's like a Bedouin group, right? Northern Italian, Mizrahi, Hawaiian, actually quite a lot from our lands there.